Welcome to the CoachSpeak Podcast, built for coaches, by coaches, hosted by Jamie Bolton and Dustin Martin. Sponsored by Ray Crowther, providing the nation's best athletic training equipment since 1932. And R4 Football Systems. Accelerate everything by decoding the game.
Hey guys, welcome back to CoachSpeak. Dustin Martin here with Jamie Bolton with another great episode. We have Coach Matt DeBerry tonight out of Texas from College Station, Texas, about 13 minutes over at College Station High School away from A&M. So you know it's a football town for sure. We're excited to have him on today. Jamie, I'll hop into what we're doing. Before we get going, I want to shout out to our sponsors, Tsunami Bar Sports and Team Builder.
Yeah, guys, we got Coach Matt DeBerry on today. We're diving into one of the most critical parts of offensive football, talking about situations. We're going to be getting into red zone, strategy, practice planning, how to practice those scenarios, and how to use tempo to create advantages. Coach DeBerry has been OC at College Station High School, like Dustin said. He's also been at Burnett High School, Texas A&M, student assistant before that, and also began his high school career at Rudder High School. Coach, we're so excited to have you on, man.
Hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Look forward to speaking with you guys today.
Man. So, yeah, guys, we're talking situational football today, third and fourth down calls, red zone attack. And the first segment that we're going to get into is really about third and fourth down. Before we do, we really want to shout out our sponsor, Tsunami Bar Sports. I want to take a second to talk about our friends at Tsunami Bar Sports. If you're looking for a way to take your athlete's explosiveness and stability to the next level, their training bars and systems are truly a game changer. We talk about it all the time. I love that Tsunami Bar isn't just another barbell. It's designed to flex and really oscillate as you lift, which forces your body to really stabilize the entire movement. That means your athletes are developing real transferable strength that shows up on the field. We use it every single day. You can use traditional barbells if you want to. We do that. But what we do with the Tsunami Bars, I think, translates even more to real life athleticism on the field. But Coach, yeah, let's go ahead and get into our first segment. We're going to be talking about situational third and fourth down philosophy. How do you define, and this is always something in my mind, how do you define situations for your players? Do they have a different mindset when you do that? But how do you go about teaching that to your players?
Yeah, that's something that we focus heavily on. You know, for us on Wednesdays, that is all of our situational football day. Monday is normal down and distance combined with our new install stuff for the week, maybe a particular shot, formations, again, new stuff for the week on Mondays. Tuesday is normal down and distance. And Wednesday, that's all we will do is red zone, third down, situational, into game, all those different situations. And we've been 50% or better on third and fourth down conversions the last 2 seasons. So I'm pretty confident in our plan and what we've been doing. And again, each year we get a little bit better at how we're attacking it, how we're approaching it. And then obviously as a staff, how we game plan that. Again, ways to be more efficient and get better each year. It's super, super important. But what's the biggest testament to me, yes, are the numbers for sure. But when you have kids on the field and it's fourth down and 4th and 2, and that what you repped all week was a reverse or, a particular outside zone out of this look with that motion, and you can already see them shifting into it before you even call it, and you're getting mad because you're still signaling the play, but they're already running away from you. And then I'm getting mad in the headset, and they're like, "Coach, they know what it is. Like they know this. We did it all week." And so I very much appreciate that from our kids, and that shows us that it tells me that we're all on the same page. I'll give you a quick story about situational football. So 2 years ago, we were playing a district ball game. This is the end of the first half. They call a penalty. For whatever reason, the refs just tell my head coach it was an offensive penalty, so we actually should have gotten, and the other team had accepted it, so we actually should have gotten to retry the down. And so, on time down. And so they've run off the field. So I'm in the press box. So I get in the elevator and ride down with our O-line coach. And by the time I get out to the field, I can see up at the scoreboard them replaying us scoring a touchdown. And I'm very confused because I'm thinking they're playing a highlight, but I'm like, we didn't run that play. And then the next thing I see us in our 2-point play formation, and we run a 2-point play and convert it. And I'm like, hold on. I think that they may have changed their mind because now I see everybody. Now I can see the actual field, and I see our whole team out on the field. But it was
Oh
funny
my
because we went
gosh.
in at halftime, and my head coach signals for us. He's always done that, and that was like the non-negotiable when I took the job. And but he goes, Coach, we had already talked about what our end of half play was, so we called our end of half play, scored on it, and then he said we knew we wanted to go for two. Again, we had already talked about that before the drive started, and even really before we got to the game, through game planning. And Coach, we ran it. Like we don't. It was very, like I said, it was really good feeling to know that we're all on the same page from a staff standpoint,
Yeah.
and a team standpoint. I was
We
very, like I said, I was very vindicated on that.
we work with a lot of guys that would have looked at us going in half and say, "Hey man, don't worry, I got it. Don't worry, I got it."
Yeah,
Like just choking. Hey man, don't worry, coach.
sure.
Hey, take the
Yeah, we'll get
elevator.
it.
Don't take the stairs next time. We got it. We'll take care of it.
Yeah,
Just play.
yeah.
But what a great story. That's like, hang on, we haven't ran that play yet. That's big time. And I think it is. I think the most ways you can find to correlate to kids. So I guess what I mean by that is when we break down O-line play as an OL coach, we break it down in pods and we tell them, hey, we just want to focus on these pods. So it's you, the guy beside you, the DL, and the linebacker. Don't worry about the other 9 guys on defense. Worry about your pod. And I think if you correlate that and teach the players, listen, the game's the same way. There's your first and second down pod. There's your third down pod, and there's your fourth down pod. The better we do on our first and second down pod, the easier and more play selection we have in the next third down pod. And I think if you kind of, like you said, have that common language between your staff and your players, I think that might resonate as well. You just kind of sparked that idea in my head a little bit.
Yeah, we've had some obviously really good players. We got a really good staff, and a lot of these guys I've worked with for 3+ years. Some of them, this will be our 10th season together. And then,
Mm.
like I said, there was obviously guys here before I got here the first time that have been together for 15 and 20 years. So there's just a wealth of knowledge and experience on the table. And so from somebody or multiple people, we'll find the best way to get it done. It doesn't mean that we're not going to make mistakes. It doesn't mean that things aren't going to always go in our favor, but we want to put ourselves in the most advantageous position. And at the end of the day, I feel that we are preparing our kids to go win football games in any situation. And when it's those really adverse situations, we've already, it's like when people call me or one of our assistant coaches is really striving hard to become he wants to be a coordinator one day. So he asks tons of questions and we sit down and talk a lot. And I said, I don't know, like obviously I don't have all the answers. I said, but from what I've studied from other people and just from my own experiences, if you can play the game in your head and go through as many scenarios as possible before you get to the game, and then however you document those, or have those planned out through your call sheet or notes or again, however your brain is wired, we're all wired differently. I think if you can do that and play the game in your head, and that's how you can be prepared. Because at the end of the day, offensively, I don't know what the time frame is, but my guess is, especially with tempo, the way we operate our offense, I get about 10 to 20 seconds to make a play call. Obviously, when it's third and fourth down, tempo is not the most important thing. It's getting, trying to get hopefully the best call. Knowing what about that defense and that situation. But again, if you've done your homework, it's proven over the last couple of years that we'll put ourselves in some really advantageous positions to go convert, keep the ball, and then put points on the board.
Now, are you guys mostly I mean, you're mostly up tempo. Are there times where you'll change that tempo in those scenarios to maybe get like what you're saying, that advantageous look where it might be changing the picture or, making sure or really trying to, if it's third and long, you're trying to say if this man is on and you want to motion or shift, how do you kind of, what's your philosophy, I guess, behind that?
I would say tempo and everything we do takes precedence, but it's not the only thing that we're going to do. Again, situationally, if it's third and fourth down or it's in the red zone, I think obviously the more prepared I am and the more confident I am, the faster I'm going to call it. But yes, I have. When we get in the red zone, I know what I'm doing. Like I have a 20 to 11 yard box. I have a 10 and in box. I have it broke when I get from 10 and in. I have it broken down every 2 yards left hash, right hash. And I give myself multiple options in there. And that's what we practice on Wednesdays, and then clean up on Thursdays. Third and fourth down, again, as the game goes on, that's where it can get a little bit, tricky, because maybe your first 2 third down calls weren't what you thought, or you didn't execute it as well, or you kind of burned what you thought was going to be, your heavy hitters. So you got to make some adjustments. But yeah, no, I have zero problem with adding emotion. Or like last year, we had 2 really, really good tight ends and 3 really good running backs and 2 really good receivers and a really good quarterback. So we were trying to highlight everybody's strength, but also try to be multiple and put the pressure on the defense on 3rd and 2, not on ourselves. So we wanted to give ourselves as much advantage as we could by having the personnel group we wanted, the motion that we wanted, the formation that we wanted, the scheme, so on and so forth. So we wanted to, like I said, just trying different things to put ourselves in those advantageous positions. And I think that we're able to be multiple and go fast because of the way we practice and the way we plan that throughout the week. That's not the first time, by the time we've run that 3rd down, that 3rd and 2 call on Friday night, we've repped it multiple times, 5 and 6 times. We've walked and talked through it throughout the week. We've run it against the exact defense or the most likely defense or look we were going to get. And then we cleaned it up on Thursday and Friday and talked about, hey, don't forget, this is what we're doing on 3rd and 12 plus, because they're going to run their prevent. And so on and so forth, whatever the situation is. Last year, our game 1 opponent, I was being serious, but it was one of those where I wrote a check and I had to cash it later on. I had a big mouth and I had to pay up, but I told them going into game 1, we had a reverse put in, and I said, guys, they get us in 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, and we're 40 on the 40 or out. I said, we're freaking running this play. I said, I'm confident as crap in it. I'm not worried at all, taking a gamble on that. And we were on, I think, the maybe 25, 30 yard line, plus 30, and Hoover scored on it. And so, and the kids were like, well, coach said he was going to do it. But I think that's breathing confidence in the kids and proving to them that, hey, nothing's off the table. Obviously we're not just calling stuff to call stuff. We're not being stupid. But there's a rhyme and reason why we're doing something.
And I've noticed that, like, playing teams that are much better than you, if you show the kids the discrepancy in their defensive structure, how they're misaligned, how their coverage is not sound, how we have the advantage out of trips or this, it almost kind of equals the playing field, because the kids buy in, like, yeah, they're really good athletes, but man, their scheme is not very good at all. Like, they're playing it this way. And I think that can be an equalizer too. It's like, they're not sound. So guys, if we execute, no matter how good they are, because they're misaligned, we're going to be okay. Sorry, Jamie, I mean to cut you off.
I'm really interested. We all have our call sheets, and I'm big R4 guy. So I use the R4 game plan sheet, and all week, we go through our game flow. But the one thing I really find myself looking at is not the normal play call sheet during the game. I really use that 3rd and 4th down and red zone and goal line situational stuff. How many plays per, I don't know, if you're 3rd and short, or maybe you do it by yardage, like if it's 3rd and 1 to 3 or 3rd and 4 to 7 or 3rd and 9 plus or whatever it is, how many of those plays do you bring in a game? I'm just interested to hear what you say.
We're going to practice 2 to 3, sometimes 4, again, just depending on the, again, shorter yardage stuff, I'm probably a little more worried about, because I know that the conversion rate's obviously a lot higher, and we're probably likely to have more success for multiple reasons in those situations. So yes, we'll spend a little more time on 3rd and 1, 1 to 2, and 3 to 4. Obviously, once you get 6, 7, 8, like we have 1 3rd and 12 plus play, maybe, and I mean, hey, if we don't convert that, I'm not going to feel too bad about it.
If you're in a lot
we
of
dug
third
ourselves.
Longs, then it's probably
Correct.
not going well.
It's going to be a long night. Yeah, you're going to hurt yourself. So yes, typically in our normal situations, we're going to have 2 to 3 in those early categories, 3rd and 1 through 5 to 6. Once we start getting into 7 plus, that's where we're going to have 1 to 2, and then we'll have 3rd and 12. Like I said, I have a 3rd and 12 plus. That's where, and again, some of these boxes and some of these situations change on who you are. If we do a lot of data, our staff offensively does a fantastic job and helps me out a ton with tagging a bunch of data. And so I make reports off of that and compare that with my notes combined with my film study and put all those things together. And that's where we make the decisions of, hey, here's what we're going to do and why. It's, in my opinion, like I said, it's very calculated. It's not just a shot in the dark. We're very confident in what we're going to see. Yes, defenses are going to change. They're going to have a plan for us because we do this. But again, I know it's only 2 years worth of data, but the last 2 years and doing the way we've been planning and practice structure, we're 50+% both years. And like I said, and then again, that doesn't take into account when the twos were in, the threes at the end of the game. So that's just straight across the board from, game one through last year, played 13 games.
Yeah.
So I'm really confident in that.
And it's crazy because, so we have a buddy. He's a listener. We had him on. His name's Zeb, and I know he's going to be listening to this episode. And I'm not quite sure when this airs, Bolton, but this may be after we play them. I'm not quite sure.
We open with them Zeb Ritchie.
Down at River Bluff. And I was watching the game last year from the opening, and it kind of ties in, Coach. There were 58 plays on first, second, and third down for their offense. 8 were third downs, first and second. He had 50 first and second downs. And it's like, you don't have to be very good on third down if you're good on first and second. You know what I mean? Sure. It's like, Absolutely. And it's like, obviously explosive plays is the game changer. But like you said,
efficiency is what you're saying. Like, it's like being efficient on first and second down will give you those third and shorts that are obviously you're going to be converting way higher than 50%. So it's when you get in those 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, that's when you're like at 30%. So it averages out. You got like a 50% conversion rate. Like, you really should be. So I'm interested in this one too, Coach. I didn't mean to cut you off, but outside of overall third down conversion, do you also break your conversion rate down like by the yard, by the yards you have to gain? Like 3rd and 1 conversion rate versus a 3rd and 10 conversion rate will be different.
So I bet our coach Vittrup is our receivers coach, and he does all of our statistics and data and things like that for the offense. I bet he's got something somewhere because I always ask him about something, and he's like, "Hey, give me 5 minutes," and then boom, he'll shoot it back to me. So I'm sure we do somewhere for the 50+% was just overall. Yeah. I mean, just all third and fourth downs.
Yeah, we're the same. But I think what I'm going to do moving forward, it just kind of sparked my thoughts on this as you spoke, was like, are we really good at converting third and short? Are we, and so that may even change the way that we call the game. Like, if we're decent at converting third and short or third and medium, I might run it on like a second or even a third medium to try to get it to 4th and short. If I know we can, maybe grind that 2 yards out. If we're not, I might have to throw it twice, or thinking through that kind of stuff. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I think for me too, like this will be my 4th year coming up here calling the offense. And, my first year, my head coach was a first-time head coach. He had worked super, super hard and was very loyal to the district. And this is the only district he's ever worked in. And it's his first head job. I stay on staff. I turned down another coordinator promotion elsewhere to stay here. And it was like, and he told me, he's like, yeah, we'll talk, but I got a lot of fish to fry before I need a coordinator. And so spring ball that year, I helped run a lot of the offense and plan everything along with some of our other coaches on staff. We had all worked together. And so we meshed well together, and we all just made it work. And then he finally promoted me over the summer. So that first year I was very, I put a lot of pressure on myself to prove him right. And so I definitely wasn't myself. I was a little bit conservative. We weren't obviously as good as we have been the past 2 years as far as talent and just overall kind of the glue amongst the group and the talent that we had that year. And again, I was still trying to figure myself out and calling it. And after that year, I went back and talked to a lot of people and just really just listened to the staff here and the kids. And I thought, I just need to be myself. I need to be comfortable in calling what I'm calling, and I don't need to worry about, when I called that reverse on 4th and 2, if it wouldn't have worked out, I'm still gonna call something like that down the road. Like, I'm not gonna let that one situation stop me, because you know what? Maybe the tackle fell down. Maybe the 5 technique was so tired that he just shot up the field and ran right into the play and had no business even being there. You know what I mean? So I think I've I've proven to myself and then taking advice from people close to me that I really trust and value their opinion of just being myself and calling it, calling it like I'm comfortable with. And again, taking those risks into consideration. But you know what? eh, you're a hero. Like I was a hero on that reverse. Like everybody's like, oh, what a great play call. If we'd have gotten tackled for -1 or not gained it, I'd have been the biggest idiot in the world. And
Well,
so,
that goes doesn't that go both ways?
yeah,
Don't we always
sure.
say, like, you
Yeah.
call a play, the left tackle falls down, the quarterback scrambles out of there, or they
Yeah.
got it covered, and then he picks up 15. You're like, "Man, what a great play call."
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Like
sometimes it works out, or sometimes you got it dialed up, and like you said, the left tackle falls down, you take a sack, and you burn them on some kinda double move or some kind of vertical switch. So, it all kind of I think it all kind of, shakes out. It's like the old adage, man, shooters gotta shoot, man. Like, you gotta
yeah.
keep giving it your best shot, man. I mean, you gotta keep pulling the trigger. So,
Yeah. And coach, I'm excited to get into this next segment. It's about red zone and kind of how your mindset changes. But before we do that, speaking of changes, we want to give a shout out to our other sponsor, Team Builder. And just the change, I was cleaning the weight room. We hired a new strength coach at the school I'm an AD at. We were cleaning out the weight room. We find this old dry erase board, and it has all the old workouts written on it back before we even had Team Builder. And it's been on there so long, man, that you can't even erase it off. Like it's been on there so
take the
long.
spray bottle
And it's
out,
just
yeah.
like shout out to Team Builder for that change. You don't have to worry about the dry erase board. You don't have to write your workouts up there anymore. You don't have to make sure kids aren't doing 385 when they should be doing 185. And Team Builder has just bridged that gap and came a long way. So if you want to streamline your program, maximize your athletes' development, in the show notes, we have a free 30-day trial using the promo code CoachSpeak.
So we got red zone offense. So I always kind of go back and forth with red zone when I game plan. I think for me, I always want to know if that defense is gonna what they're gonna do. Obviously, when we kind of cross that threshold into the red zone, do you see a lot of defenses changing, or do you like the game plan based on what your team does well as that field condenses?
I think definitely priority is always what do we actually do best?
Mhm.
Because if we can execute something, even though that may not be the absolute best look, to run into this coverage or run into that front or so on and so forth. I think that's where us as coaches on Sundays, that's where I tell people all the time. I think that's where we actually win a lot of games, or really significantly contribute to having less problems and being successful on Friday nights is our Sunday game planning, because we sit in there and we try to leave no stone unturned. And again, sometimes we're in there till 6:30, sometimes we're in there till 9:30. And I know some of the coaches don't appreciate the 9:30s. I know my wife and the other coaches' wives probably don't either. But at the end of the day, when we get to Friday nights, I don't ever look back at a call sheet or a game plan and go, why were we running outside zone, right into that, into that over front when there's or that in the nickel sitting right there and that guy was never accounted for. And go back and look at the game planning board, and I look at the alignments and I'm like, oh yeah, he's literally right there. And we didn't talk enough thoroughly through that enough. Otherwise we would have seen it. So that's where I definitely feel that yes, priority A is what do we do best, and then B, what do we do best against what they do, typically? Because obviously we're blessed and we've got kids that are heavily involved and coaches that coach really well, and are confident, and so we're able to have. In the past, we've been able to have multiple things that we can rely on versus this or that, whether it be run game or pass game. So it makes it, in the past, it's made it a little bit easier. But also too, like I think this year, our goal is, and our kind of motto is we need to go really fast. Like it's not about trying to out scheme you. I don't want to, honestly, it's a lot harder on me and our staff to have to out scheme you than it is to go, hey, we run 60 fades a day, so we're going to throw fades, or we run power 60 times a week. So we're going to run power. Now what's the best formation? How do we motion? Do we need to add a motion? Does it need to be, do we need to bring an extra, another personnel group in, whatever. And that's kind of what we look at as a staff. And unfortunately and you guys know how it is, you live this life. You'll never, ever get to spend enough time with your entire staff game planning if you could draw it up and have an agenda of, if you're Monday through Wednesday or Monday through Thursday, whatever. And hey, we're going to spend, from 8 to 9:30, we're going to do first downs on Monday, and like a college schedule, right? That's just
Mhm.
that's not possible. So a lot of the stuff obviously falls on me, or as part of my responsibilities. And that's the part of the game I enjoy, the most is the game planning and getting ready for a game. But also it's listening to the staff. It's watching video at night with the staff or in the mornings. And I mean, shoot, me and the DC work out together. And he's like, man, last week I saw so-and-so run glances against that team, once we get in district and we're playing the same people. And so, taking feedback from our staff and guys that I trust, and just trying to develop that good game plan and figure it out. Hey, this is how we're going to go attack them. And, again, I like to have a few tricks up my sleeve every week in each little area, whether it's open field, it's a trick play, it's a motion, a formation, a 2-play series, whatever it is. I want to keep you on your toes, and I want to try to keep the advantage on our side as much as we can. And also, I think it's fun for the kids. When one of my favorite kids I ever coached 2 years ago walked up to me, he said, "Coach, you know what? I'm having fun. Like this is so much fun." And I said, "You know what? That's all I needed to hear." Because we had trick play and 2-point plays, and we're just, like I said, obviously we're having successful. Winning is fun. That's how do you spell fun? WIN. Yeah. And so when you get the kids to buy in and believe, like on Mondays when we have our scout meeting at 5:30, that's literally all I tell them. Like what we were talking about earlier, which was, this is how we're going to beat these guys. Not, oh man, they've got, a 5-star safety on the back end. Man, they've got this dude at linebacker. I'm sitting there going, no, here's what we're going to do. And this is why we're going to do it, because schematically this, or because we do this well. Again, just trying to make our kids confident. And then from the practice perspective, specifically talking about red zone, if we're going to throw fades that week, or we feel like fade is the best that week, then we need to have been running fades, leading up to that game. And obviously I need to find ways to put them in successful positions, repping that all week and have tons of success. So on Friday night, they're wanting it to be called, not going, man, I hope they don't call that, because man, it didn't work it didn't work all week, or we haven't had a whole lot of success with that. And in the past, like I said, the last 2 years, we've been pretty successful in the red zone. And I think it goes back to, again, a combination of things, from planning to practice to clean up to and then executing it successfully on Friday night.
Yeah, and I was talking. I got a good close buddy, Spencer Carroll. He's out in Oklahoma, and me and him, we'll go like 6 days without talking, and then we'll go like 6 hours talking about football. Like it's weird, but we were talking about this last week, and situational football really comes down to 3 things. The first thing is the down and distance situation. Is it first and second? Is it third? Is it fourth? The second part of situational football, which is where we're at right now, is where are you at on the field? So not only do you have to be aware what down it is, now you have to be aware what zone are you in. Are you backed up, yellow zone, green zone, high red, low red, goal line? And then the last one, which I'm sure we'll get to eventually, is also the time situation. So there's a lot of moving parts when you talk about situational football. And like where we're at right now with the red zone part, we're talking about how it starts to get a little bit tougher because the field is condensing. You don't have as much vertical space. So, Coach, exactly what you're saying, like prepping and planning them for that. And on the other side, the devil's advocate, I guess when I game plan from the defensive side, I want to know who you are when you run out of vertical space. If you are a vertical space team, do you still try to throw fades and have your guy go up and get the ball? Or is fades go out the window for you once you hit the 16-yard line, because it's like, we can't really get it where we need to be. So I think that's where, when we talk about red zone, I think personally, whether you're on the offense or defense side, you got to have different red zones. You got to have high, you have to have low, and you have to have goal line on both sides, because obviously if we're in the high red zone, or the based on your preference, or the low red zone, do you like corner or snag better, high or low? It's just kind of, I guess it's a preference. A coach, how do you teach it? What's the aiming point? But I think that's kind of how I look at the red zone is, all right, the red zone is one of the situations where we're reducing space, where they don't have as much room. What do they feel led to do in those situations? Is it bring guys closer to the ball and say, we're going to create vertical space by running it? Or is it they're going to stick to the normal game plan and they're going to run out of space? And if we can just play our proper technique, that's kind of what I think with the red zone.
I agree 100%. There's, like I said, on my call sheet, I have from the 20 and in, every 2 yards, I have left hash, right hash plays. Obviously, sometimes it's mirrored. We're going to run the same thing on the left hash or the right hash. In the past, it's been like, okay, well, when we're on the right hash, we really like throwing this route to this guy. But on the other side, we want to throw him something completely different. So, again, those thought process changes. What personnel do we want to be in? Again, yeah, like all those things have to come into account. And that's where, on Tuesdays, Tuesday's kind of my red zone third and fourth down day, along with Wednesday. So we practice at 6 a.m. in the morning. So I actually, my week actually gets shortened by about 10 hours because we don't practice Wednesday afternoon. So I actually don't get all day Wednesday to game plan for Wednesday's situational practice, because we're basically done. I'm done scripting as far as for practice Tuesday night at 9 o'clock, because we're fixing to go run it at 6 a.m. the next morning, which is good. Obviously, that's good, pros and cons. But I think the pro for me is the thing I appreciate the most is that I have to be clear and concise on what we're going to do, and I don't have the extra 10 hours to go, oh well, what if we did this, or man, that'd be cool if we tried to put this in. Again, we're working already at the high school level. We're already working on a condensed schedule as it is, with practice limits and just everything that we have to deal with. And so, being prepared, but then it allows me to go back and kind of clean up a little bit. And then, like I said, we'll talk more, I'm sure, here in a little bit about practice and as far as practice planning on that stuff, but going back and cleaning that stuff up. But yeah, again, you have to, it's trial and error. And again, when you've done it for 2 years or for 3 years, you kind of have an idea like, hey, snag's not very good on the 8-yard line for us. Like we don't have a guy that's really good at that, running that corner route, from the 8-yard line, but hey, back him up to the 13, that it's really good. So like, luckily a lot of the times when we get in the red zone, somebody either the receivers coach that's in the press box with me on the headset, he's like, hey, it's 1st and goal. Cause obviously I'm kind of just naturally, I look down at my script, but when we get in the red zone, he's already kind of shooting out the, hey, it's right hash 7-yard line. 9 times out of 10, I already know what we're doing on the 7 right hash. I don't need to look at my sheet. And I'll be honest with you, I bet you half of our kids don't need us to signal it either. I bet you if we just gave them a formation, they would go, oh, it's this, or oh, it's that, because it's going to be exactly what we practice. It's not going to be some random thing that we pulled out of the hat. We 100% practiced it. We practiced it multiple times, and we walked and talked through that situation after the fact and cleaned it up if needed, if there was any issues, or, hey, here's the 2 looks you might get. Here's the, we showed you these 2 different looks, but, one's man and one's zone. So obviously, if it's a pass play, there's some different things that can happen here. This guy might get the ball or that guy might get the ball. So I think it really helps prepare our kids for Friday nights, and our staff to be honed in and on the same page. When I was a coordinator at Barnet, we hadn't worked together. Only 2 of the 6 or 2 of the 7 offensive staff members had ever worked together before, and we just hadn't gelled. I mean, that takes time. You can't just fast forward a staff, being on the same page and kind of knowing what direction you're going to go in year one. So that's what I'm really thankful for that here with our staff, is we've been together for a long time. And they know my personality. I know what I can get from them. And I mean, they're awesome. They like, I think everybody's always quick to give me credit. And I'm like, man, I coach the quarterbacks and I make the call sheet. That's really it. But on a Friday night, I bet multiple coaches are going to call plays or are going to give me a suggestion before
that's always the
I can
best.
spit something out.
Right. I like the collaboration piece too. And this is our first year. This is my first year as coordinator at the school that I'm at. And so we're just now getting into the game planning process and how that's going to look with our staff, and having those guys buy into, our system of game planning. And, we use the R4 stuff, and actually I'm going to be rolling this out with our staff in the next couple of days too, about how to go about, watching film, and our listeners have already heard about the R4 Film Mastery Toolkit as well, but which helps. But I think the biggest distinction that I have with the red zone is definitely that low and goal line distinction. And I always find myself, and I didn't realize why do teams get in heavier personnel packages down there? And I started thinking about it, a few years ago. Well, it's because when that space condenses, all those defenders are now closer to the box. And if you're in 10 personnel, then you're at a severe disadvantage because now they're already close. They can take away the flat space, and now they're really close to the box if you want to try to run it. And so that's why we always add gaps. Do you guys do that with even though you're up tempo, do you change personnel, or is that not really a big deal for you guys?
I have zero problem changing personnels in those particular situations. And if you go, I'd love for you guys to, like I said, I'll share some film with you guys or
Yeah.
whatever. I'd love for you guys to watch some of our video, because those are some things, like I said, we're really proud of, and the investment that we've made, and the planning and the process and the execution of our red zone and third downs and fourth down situational football. But yeah, I mean, last year, I mean, at the high school level, at least in Texas, for the most part, we're 5A, so we're the second biggest division of football. There's 6A obviously above us. So remember, like, for example, we have 2,200 kids in our school, so we're very, very, very fair size for sure. But what I've noticed over the last 10 years at this level is that when we get in the red zone, you might change personnels, you might bring in an extra defensive lineman, you might bring in an extra linebacker, but with us being able to be so multiple and be fast, typically your alignment's going to be your first thing or your first priority defensively, I would think. And so, yeah, if I sub somebody in, yes, you get the sub too, but a lot of times, even if you do sub, I still think that I'm more worried about, are we putting ourselves offensively in the best position? I'm not. Yes, I'm sure. Yes, I don't want you to bring in 5 extra D linemen when I bring in, when I'm in 23 personnel. No, I'd rather you have the 3 little skinny corners in there, or the 2 skinny corners and the 2 safeties. Yeah, I'd love for you to be in that, because that should be advantage to us.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if we're going to run the ball, and we probably are in a lot of those situations, because we're typically we're very confident, and that's what we rep. Well, I might as well bring in what I feel is the best surface and personnel
Sure.
to help us execute that. So whatever we need to do, last year we had a package called Rhino, and I think it was like 24 personnel.
Wow.
I mean, it was crazy, because we had a wildcat, because the guy taking the snap was a tailback. We had another tailback, and we brought in two defensive linemen and had 2 tight ends in the game.
Wow.
So it's basically 2, and 2. However you want to figure that one out.
Yeah.
And then obviously,
So something on the defensive ball I've always been adamant about, and even when I coached offense in OL, is the difference between good and elite. Is good is you have to tell the kids what to do every time and they listen. Elite is they take what you tell, and when they see it, they can react. So I think on the defensive side, what you're talking about, what Jamie's talking about, is you have to have a base way to line up to every surface. And then you have to have a base way to handle every off the surface motion. So it's like, hey, if we have a 3-man surface or a 4-man surface with double tight or tight end wing, this is the base way we're going to play it. And here is how we handle it if the fourth man in the surface motions or shifts. I think if you want to even have a remote chance on defense, you got to know how to line up to every single surface. You got to talk about unbalance. You got to talk about eligible backside tackle. That's just the start. And if you cannot teach that to your kids where they can recognize it, and now you start getting into muddle huddle and some other things, and now your time's against you. But at least they know, hey, there's a 5-man surface over here. We got to knock the front, or we got to do this or do that. But no, Coach, right there with you. Jamie, you ready to go to segment 3?
Yeah, I'm interested to see how
Sure.
Coach, what's your approach to really building that situational football into your weekly practice plan? I know you mentioned that you typically do that on Wednesdays. Talk first about how you guys game plan. Do you guys do all that game planning on Sunday? You do first, second down, in between the 30s, and then also your third and fourth and goal line red zone stuff all on Sunday, or do you kind of spread that out over the week?
I'd say about 85% of our Sunday is going to be just normal D&D. If we have a special, if we have new formations, if we have a new scheme, that's where all that stuff's going to be discussed. Like I said, that gets a little bit lengthy already as it is, because again, just because of I think the way we take the approach of basically trying to eliminate any problems on Sunday, which I think, like I said, extends our Sunday a little bit. But again, I don't want to be talking about that on Friday night. I want to be talking about that on Sunday night. That way I don't practice something all week and then realize, oh my gosh, we're running right into an unblocked overhang every single time on wide zone, and there's nobody, we can't account for Nobody saw that on Sunday. Well, no, because we just kind of blew through that, trying to get to red zone or whatever. So I do, like I said, I do a lot of the third, fourth down red zone game planning by myself, as along with the input of guys. And obviously, like I said, I'm going to go with a list of things to the staff on Monday and Tuesday before I script it Tuesday night for Wednesday morning's practice. And that's where I get really good feedback. And what I love about our staff is we don't have a bunch of yes men. They know better than to go, oh yeah, we'll just do that. I want them to be honest and poke holes through it. That's what I say. Like, hey, poke holes through it, man. Like let's figure out if if three guys in the room all say that, oh, that's not going to work because of blank, and it's the exact same thing. Scratch. It's gone. Like there's no, you can't tell. Like I trust the heck out of those guys, and we have too many things that we can do. So why are we going to put ourselves in that box? And so I do a lot of that planning. Again, a lot of the feedback from the staff. But again, I have more time to game plan. We have different schedules. We don't have the same conference periods. We have the same athletic period, but I mean, it's tight. It's a tight schedule. We're up here at 4 a.m. We're on the field starting practice at 6. Most of us have either kids at home or on the way or all the above. And so, we try to get out of here at a decent hour. So, and some of us, have to. Like I got 3 kids myself. I have 6, 3, and 1. So I'm trying to help. My wife is the cheer coach, and she works in school. So her busy season is my busy season.
No
so
doubt.
we tag team, and one goes one direction to pick up one group of kids, and the other one goes to pick the other kid up.
Wow.
So I think that's where that efficiency comes back into play. But as far as like a specific practice plan or schedule for like Wednesday, we always start with basically build into. So we, like, for example, we'll start practice. We'll go to my individuals. I coach quarterbacks. So Wednesday for us is competition day. So I have some sort of competition for the quarterbacks. That's not, again, 9th through 12th graders. So when we go through practice on Wednesday, we have, we're throwing fades into the net, or we're trying to see who can get the ball out the fastest. We're trying to see who can sprint, who can hand the ball off, catch another ball, and throw like a pull throw, like triple option game, like any kind of competition. And it breaks up the monotony. And kids love competition. You know what I mean? And they look forward to it. In fact, they get pretty fiery with me a little bit later in the year. Sometimes we get in the playoffs. I'm like, guys, I love you, but we're trimming our practice schedule, and something's got to give. And sometimes, unfortunately, coach gives in on the either gives in or very much tapers down our competition period. But then we move into our quarterback running back time and quarterback receiver time, and then our group work, we go Skelly. And so that those days when we go Skelly and team, we go third down Skelly for 5 minutes, and then we'll go red zone Skelly for 5 minutes. And then when we get up to team, we'll go 10 minutes of third and fourth down team, and then 10 minutes of red zone team. And so again, like I said, we're practicing all those different situations. And Coach Mo, he's now our whole line coach. He's been coaching receivers, but he runs our scout team. And man, he does a phenomenal job. Like, in fact, I get pissed at him sometimes because it's too good. He sends exactly what we can't have to a certain play, and he busts it up. And I'm like, come on,
That's the
dude.
worst.
Like,
That's the worst.
They only run that like 20% of the time. And he's like, well, coach, that it could happen then. And I'm like, hey, shut up. Like, you know what I mean, man? Like, give me the other stuff, because then the kids are looking at me. The kids are like, what the hell? We're going to run that versus that?
Yeah. My first year of coaching, shout out Coach Brian Mahan. He is the AD at J.O. Mann High School. And I probably call him once or twice a week, or text him once or twice a week about AD questions. But he was the DC my very first year of coaching. I was 18 years old. And he's just trying to perfect stop and fast screens. So defeating the block, and our head coach comes over and says, hey, man, run fake fast screen and throw it up the numbers. I said, okay. So we do, and it scored. And he just got so upset. And it's like he's got to be ready for it. But it was like, I understand he's trying to take the drill to work on defeating it. But it was something crazy. But
man, that just tell one thing about that. this is a pet peeve of mine. Man, quit trying to win the drill.
Yes.
Good
Without a
gracious, man. That's
Yes.
my hot take. It's been a long summer.
I
Right?
threw
Oh,
it.
yeah.
We threw
It's
a
like,
we
dude,
threw
we
a
go 11 on 11 against a team, and dude, they're like trying to win every single drill. I
Mhm.
mean, we don't have pads on now, and they're bringing stunts. I mean, we're in an inside run, and they're just stunting and blitzing the whole time. I'm like, all right, that's fine. But like, is that what we're trying to do here? Are we trying to play base in freaking June? I just that kind of stuff just gives me.
we threw an RPO glancing today into our best defensive lineman who was back there by the safety standing there during team run. And I'm like, guys, I don't want to get him hurt because he's really good and he's going to help us on Friday nights.
Mhm.
And B, our receiver almost just, ran through 4 coaches. Like, you
Yeah.
guys got to move back there. You
No
defensive
doubt.
guys kill me
Hey,
in the
man.
Well,
backfield.
if
That's
you're
another pet peeve of mine.
here's the thing, and I'll die on this hill. If you're a defensive back coach and you're standing behind the defense, you ain't coaching. You're watching, because you can't coach DBs without seeing where their eyes are. And if you stand behind me with my helmet, you can't tell if I'm looking here, here, or here. So shout out all DB coaches, whoever's listening. How about go stand behind the quarterback and watch the eye control of your DB.
But the reason they give you is this: I can't coach them from back there. Well, coach from film.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's my pet peeve, but my angle's a little different, and it probably ruffles some feathers. But what I yell at our coaches is, look, are you going to be there on Friday night to tell them
Yeah.
what to do?
Great
Because if you're
point.
telling him again, if you're telling him what, I get it. If you're correcting something at the end of the play, I totally understand that.
Mhm.
Like offensively, we can't do that because, or you better not offensively, or I'll lose my mind because we're trying to play fast. But if you're telling them literally what to do before the play,
Mhm.
I don't want you want him turning around on Friday night to look at your like Casper the Ghost back there because you're not there, brother.
Not
You're on the
there.
sideline. Like
Mhm.
you're
Well,
like a
yeah, we had a guest
you're like a
speaker.
safety
Yeah,
valve, and you're not gonna be there.
yeah, we had a guest speaker talk about those team periods or even those group periods. It's a test, and
Yep.
and obviously we're testing the players, but really we're testing the coach. The players aren't trying to mess up.
Mm-mm.
The players are out there doing what they're coached to do, and that's really a reflection on the position coach. And so if like my quarterback doesn't know the progression, like I can't be
Yep.
out there screaming at the quarterback before every play what the progression is before the play happens. We need to let him play. And if he makes the mistake, then we can correct after. Same thing with, I've coached with defensive coaches before, and man, they love the game and they're coaching like crazy. But dude, it is like chaos. It's like line up here, line up here, line up here. This is not how it's going to be in the game. But no, that's a good point.
Yeah, and you can't remind them of everything. It's that's why I try to stay far away, and I film on the drone, so I watch practice in the group periods on the drone. I have it just sitting right there because I can see everything, and I know immediately if we're screwed linebacker play just watching it. But coach, how would you say, you talked about earlier you were a tempo guy. What does tempo mean to you? Is that like just fast, or is there multiple tempos? And do you adjust your tempo based on opponent or game situation?
As far as the second part of your question, there, we don't. I don't feel that. I'll tell you what, the staff won't let me adjust the tempo. They, Coach Walsh is our line coach, and he's been the O-line coach since before I was here, and he was at our rival high school when it was just one high school before they opened ours. And I'll ask him in the middle every day. It's kind of the running joke. I'll be like, "Hey, what do you like right here?" And he goes, "Don't care, call it fast." Literally, he'll say, "Don't care, call it fast." So now I don't believe in saying that. It's like I said, it's kind of funny. It is true though, and our kids think the same way. Like I honestly, I thought I was going to fight one of our linemen 2 years ago because I could hear him on the headset. Tell DeBerry he's got to go faster. We're kicking their ass. Tell him to go faster. He's not calling it fast enough. And at first I took it, I was defensive. I'm like, you tell him to mind his business and worry about himself, okay, and block the damn 5 technique. But the more I thought about it,
The most
I'm
coach
like,
answer, coach. That is the
yeah,
most coach answer. How about
yeah,
don't get obliterated by the 5 technique? How about that?
yeah,
I'll worry about the tempo.
yeah. And so, but then I calmed down and thought about it a second. And I thought, no, that's our kid. Our kids really believe, like we've made them believe, and now they see it, that the tempo is this huge advantage for us. It's not the play call. Like I know. So in our offensive way, when I explain it to people, so same thing I'll do right now with you guys is that I don't just call plays to call plays. Like, in other words, I don't have like a 15-play script, and no matter what the down and distance is or field position or any of that, I'm just gonna like, hey, here's the 15 plays we're running. I don't care. I don't. I'm not saying that that's not right. For me, that's not my personality, and that's not how we've operated here. Um, but yeah, no, I want to know, what formation are we in? Where are we on the field? But again, that goes back to the planning. If I've done a good job planning, I just, what I do on my call sheet, on the front side of my call sheet, is I have like 10 to 15 run and pass plays that out of multiple 3-by-1 or 2-by-2 formations, where I know if we're going fast, no matter what the situation is, I can call these, and I feel like we can execute these at an extremely high level and get 4 to 5 yards. We feel very confident in those. So, and again, I know, I make what I call mini scripts in between series. And so essentially all the things that people were telling me in the last series, or maybe we threw this glance RPO with split flow zone, and the quarterback, had a crappy throw, but it was wide open. Dude, that is it's so ingrained in my brain that as soon as that drives over, that's all I can think about. I go write it on my sheet, and I'm going to come back to it. Now, is that the next series? Is it 2 series? But I make those mini scripts, and I combine those mini scripts with the tempo calls that I'd already had going into the game, and I basically call off of that. And then again, our old head coach used to tell me, like, hey, how do you call plays? I was trying to, pick his brain. He's like, man, it's just feel. And I'm like, dude, what kind of advice is that? Like,
Just gotta figure it out,
like,
man.
do you want me to leave? But it took me, obviously, again, you never appreciate things till you're in the chair and you actually understand, like, I know what he was saying. But there's just sometimes where, again, through your game planning and just all of a sudden you go, oh yeah, crap, we have that trick play, the double pass. It's about that time. It's the second quarter. It's 2nd and 1, and they're gassed. We're up 14. This could be a huge momentum shifter, right? Like, all of a sudden it just comes into your mind.
Yeah.
Um,
You gotta have some intuition with that, and there's some
yeah.
feel. There's always a balance, right? You want to script everything out. I know we're all type A, and I was actually talking to our defense coordinator today over lunch, and he was actually bragging on Dustin. He's like, "Man, Dustin's like one of the sharpest guys I've ever been around, and he's really got this stuff dialed." And he said, "I'm kind of the other side. I got a good feel for it. He's been doing it for, I don't know, 20 something years, or maybe actually, I think 40 years. I think he's been doing it for like 40 years. But anyway, but he was bringing that in. He's like, we have experience and feel in certain situations. So I think he was saying that how well they were going to work together because of the both sides of that. But yeah, I think it definitely has a lot to do with feel. Are you guys? I think we're ready to go into the rapid fire section. You guys ready?
Let's go.
All right, man. What's been y'all's best third down call, like on third short? You can get specific if you want to.
Yeah, typically, power, some
Okay.
sort of gap scheme has been the best. But that really, honestly, that goes back to, that's just the first play that we installed even before
Right.
I was here, when the
It's your
school opened.
identity.
We
Yeah.
were that was just our identity, and our kids, like, we have 3 different middle schools, and they all run some version of power.
Mhm.
And so whether they call it what we call it, or they have their own name for it, they just know what it is.
Right.
And so they've, again, it's just like anything else. The more you do something, the better you're going to become at it. And so in the past, that's been typically our highest hit rate. I'm not saying that's what we call the most, because I think, again, each situation is unique and different, and you have, like, hey, we're going to do this the first time, and then that sets up this the second time.
Mhm.
And so again, that goes back to your game planning and your comfortability, and what do you feel works best, and what do you feel is going to progress, through the rest of that game, or even season for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, third down, I mean, it kinda goes back to our best, like, rhythm run. I mean, so if it's power that week, it's power. If it's counter, um, yeah, I mean, I definitely wanna make sure I don't like to do a lot of motions and shifts on third short, and because I don't wanna jump off sides and be 3rd and
Oh
6,
yeah.
3rd and 7, like, I've gone in, like, even, like, the goal line stuff, it's like, I'm probably not gonna move around a whole lot down there. I mean, you're looking at, hey, man, a 2nd goal from the 2, and man, you jump off sides, man. It's like and you're kind of got to throw the ball, or maybe you got to, just to get it or run it just to get it close. I mean, so we don't really do that, but yes, it's typically our best rhythm run for that week, and we'll probably have 2 or 3 of those that we carry in out of the 3 or 4 formations we like on third down, where we know we're probably going to get. a particular look. So that and what I don't want to drag this out, but like, what do they do third and short? Like, if they're going to bring a bunch of interior pressure, then our best rhythm run versus that pressure might be the call for that. Yeah, like I was thinking like third short, like a running situation. Yeah. Mhm. But I think there's a balance too because like if you have weak interior DL, you're probably going to bring some sort of pressure to mitigate that. Like you're going to have to. And so now I don't want to really necessarily run maybe inside zone to that if I know they're probably going to have a chance of penetrating with some sort of blitz or you know what I mean. So it's very it's a kind of a complex question, but it definitely varies from me game to game.
I think that goes back to the game planning that we talked about,
Exactly.
in the beginning of the segment was, man, if you're doing your homework, that's going to put you in the best position on Friday night. The way we go look back at it is, and we're all coaches, so we understand this. You go pull that up on Saturday after the game, and it was 3rd and 1, and your right guard, who's done it right all week, for whatever reason, brain farts or slips, or they jump in a bare front and they were supposed to be in an over front, or just something way out of whack. And it's like, hey, that's why that play didn't work. It wasn't because we didn't prepare our kids. It's not because I had the wrong kid in there. We had the wrong formation. It's just that's
Right.
football. And that's what
And
I
I and
try
I
to
script in
explain to the
right,
kids.
and I actually script in I find myself scripting in a freeze check before the call. So, like, even on my 3rd down sheet, it'll say, like, 3rd and 1 to 3. It'll say freeze, power, or whatever it is, and sometimes we get them to jump off, or we can get a tell on, like, okay, they're bringing some interior pressure here. Maybe we need to run some wide zone or, maybe it's power read or something to try to get the edge, but yeah, that's good stuff. Go ahead, Dustin, on the next one,
Oh, that's a pretty good one. So I will say, so there's a school like by Beaumont, so like east of Houston, a couple hours, called Port Neches Groves, and their stadium's called the Reservation. They're the Indians, and they have one of the best fan bases in Texas for sure. And I've gotten to go to a game there, and it was pretty special. I played in 3 state championships here. So AT&T Stadium where the Cowboys play is
Yeah.
pretty sweet as well. That's not a school, but
Sick.
obviously it was a pretty unique experience. And so we've played at Allen, the big stadium that raised a bunch of eyebrows probably 10 years ago whenever they built it. I've gotten to play there twice. That's really cool as well. But unfortunately it was a neutral game, neutral site game. So you didn't have obviously all the fans of that school there, and it was it's about 3.5 hours for us up there, so we didn't have obviously all our fans either. Yep, it is special.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's wild.
Good gracious,
And
man.
and really that picture, like their home stands there on the right, obviously where the press box is, that's a whole hell of a lot bigger than you think it is. Like
But the
it does look
I
big in the
wish they'd have
picture,
got
but
rid of the
it's way
track.
bigger in person.
They shouldn't have
Yeah,
put the track there, man. You
yeah,
really would have had something sick.
yeah, it's cool. They do. In fact, they won the Texas State championship 2 years ago
Okay.
in 5A Division 2, which is just one. It's 5A. We're both 5A, but they split it Division 1, Division 2. So big school, small school. So yeah, they're usually very very competitive. They have a super good fan base, great culture, really cool, really unique area.
Yeah, there's a reservation here in South Carolina, Gaffney High School. They rebuilt their stadium several years ago, but a lot of legendary crowds there at those games. Certainly not the degree to Texas, but
Yeah.
our
Oh
little
yeah,
state
that
of
is
South Carolina
very
tries
nice.
to do a pretty good job.
Oh wow, that is really nice.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. Oh, wow. Nice.
I'll tell you the
It is.
best stadium though, that for me, pull this one up, Dustin. Charlotte Catholic. Check out this little stadium, man. This is wild. So it's a public school in it's actually a private school in North Carolina. They play in public school because they're a diocese issue. But anyway, the North Carolina High School Athletic Association puts them in the public schools, but they have a really, really great fan base. And I think it's like a little mini bowl. I think it wraps around the entire stadium. Did you find it?
Ruffle some feathers.
But I like it, man. It's so tight to the field. I remember playing
Yeah.
there as a player, and that ain't it. There's probably some better ones later, but it's such a tight atmosphere that like the fans are like 10 feet away from you, and man, you
Yeah.
can hear everything they say. It's pretty neat for a small little stadium. But yeah, we played there in 18. That looks like Williams-Brice. That's pretty wild. Hey guys, tune in on
You gotta watch
Spotify
the video
video.
now. Oh, wow. That is very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty sick. Look at Spartanburg's new stuff. Spartanburg's got some stuff going.
Yeah. And
So for a
luckily,
state as small as us, the resources they put in to some of these places is like insane.
luckily, like I said, we've been on some pretty good deep playoff runs, and we've been in different districts that kind of went different directions over the years. So we've gotten to play at some really, really cool stadiums for neutral site games and district games.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
In Texas, I think it was 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, they changed the law on how you do school bonds for school stadiums,
Mm,
and it has to be its own proposition. If it's athletic facilities that's over a certain capacity, it has to be its own proposition. You can't like just lump it in with like the general proposition, like, oh, we
mm.
want to build a new school and it costs $600 million, but only 200 million of that is actually the school. 250 million, of the extra
Stadium.
400 million is the stadium. It's right next to it.
Right.
So in Texas, you can't do that anymore. It has to be its own proposition.
Gotcha. I don't know how they work. I know that a lot of these schools that have, multi-million dollar facilities, they have, I saw that today, man. I saw that today. Yes. That's
Oh,
sick,
wow.
dude. But
Yeah.
they do a penny tax in a lot of these cities, and so this, like, 1% tax goes into, like, these, massive weight rooms and all this stuff,
Yeah.
but, very smart, man, to manage that money, but,
Yeah.
well, coach, man, I think yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on. Like I said, I hope the information that I shared and is helpful to you guys and your
Definitely, man.
podcast as well as your audience, and hopefully helps you guys or somebody else down the road. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity.
Coach, we appreciate it, man. A lot of great nuggets. We haven't really talked a lot about situational stuff, so really good content for our listeners. Guys that are tuning in, you can reach out to Coach Matt DeBerry. We'll have his X stuff in the show notes. He also has some Glacier Connect or Glacier Drive courses. I'm on there too, by the way, so that's pretty cool. If you want to
So
check that out, just a little plug for both of us there.
yeah,
But
there you go.
if you want
Hey,
to
we
check
need to
those
start.
out,
If only we got paid for the views, man.
yeah, I know, exactly. So, are you doing any Glaciers this year or this upcoming off
Yeah,
season?
yeah. He actually already reached out to me because I was like, "Hey, man, I'm in here." He's like, "You in for this year?" Yeah, absolutely. I said, "But if y'all will fly me somewhere, I'm willing to." Because I've only done Texas so
Yeah,
far.
that's such a big
My
state and
state.
area. I mean, you could
Sure.
probably do a
Yeah.
few of those in a row.
And so anyways, but yeah, I'd like to go talk to, because luckily I've been up in Dallas,
Yeah,
in the northern part of Texas the last 2 years. And so I get a lot of coaches from Oklahoma, some
mhm.
Louisiana, Arkansas. So it's been cool to connect with coaches
Yeah,
from
it's
other
neat.
states. And really, you know what, too? I mean, it's pretty competitive, obviously, here in Texas. So when a guy from Arkansas is asking me about something, I don't feel like I need to hold anything back or go, "Hey, sorry, man, I'm not willing to share that because I'm going to play you in the fourth or fifth round probably."
Right, exactly.
Or I know somebody that's gonna use
Right.
that information against me. Not that I have like the world's biggest secrets or I'm like the inventor of something, but again, I still want to try to have the upper hand.
Yeah, for sure. Man, look, they got all the film, man. It's like somebody said the other day, they were like, I think it was either PJ Katz or I think it was PJ Katz on one of the episodes. He said, "Look, man, this all on film. They know what we run. It's just a matter of when." And so trying to figure that piece out. I'm actually going to. I'll be speaking in Orlando, in February. So and try to get in Orlando, man. That'd be cool.
There you go. I'm about to say I'm if Florida ever calls and pays me, I'm gone. I'm
There you
packing my
go, brother.
stuff. I love Florida, especially
Yeah,
the Panhandle.
yeah, no doubt, man. Um, Anything else, Dustin? We have remember the promo code CoachSpeak for R4. Anything at basically R4 Football Systems, um, CoachSpeak all caps get you 10% off. Man, check that stuff out, especially as you guys get into the season. The R4 Film Mastery Toolkit is on there as well. That's the big thing going on right now that everybody's jumping in on. We also have a promo code for Team Builder for a 30-day free trial. That's in the show notes. Please check out Tsunami Bar. Chad Smith is our contact over there. And also don't forget Pro Quick Draw, 7-day free trial as well. Guys, we really appreciate you tuning in. Coach Matt DeBerry, outstanding today, man. We really appreciate everything, and best of luck this season.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Good luck to y'all as well.
Thank you. See you.
All right, see you.
Thanks for tuning into the CoachSpeak Podcast. If you're interested in being a guest speaker on the show, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at coachspeakpodcast1@gmail.com. And if you have a question for our Q&A segment, don't forget to submit it through the form in the episode description. We appreciate your support, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.